Have you ever found yourself lying awake in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep, a simple, natural act you once took for granted, has now become a nightly struggle? Maybe it's 2 a.m. Maybe it's 3. You glance at the clock, knowing full well that the hours of rest you so desperately need are slipping away. And the more you worry about it, the harder it becomes to drift off. If this sounds familiar, you are most definitely not alone. For millions of people over 50, sleep doesn't come as easily as it used to. What was once effortless in your younger years now feels like an uphill battle, night after night. And perhaps, like many, you found yourself wondering, what changed? You didn't try to become a poor sleeper. You're still the same person, maybe even healthier, eating better, and taking care of yourself. Yet somehow, sleep feels distant, fragile, elusive. Here at Natural Healing Hub, we've spent years exploring the deep connection between age, wellness, and natural health solutions. And if there's one thing we know for sure, it's this: sleep is the foundation of everything. Without it, even the healthiest lifestyle falls short. That's why we've made it our mission to uncover why sleep becomes harder after 50, and how you can reclaim the deep, restorative rest your body and mind are craving. Because the truth is, it's not all in your head, and it's not just a normal part of getting older, either. There are silent saboteurs lurking in your daily routine, habits that seem harmless, but are quietly robbing you of the quality sleep you need to feel your best. And chances are, you're doing at least one of them right now, without even realizing it. As we age, our bodies go through natural changes that affect the way we sleep. Hormone levels shift, melatonin production slows down, the body's ability to absorb and balance key minerals like magnesium weakens. Even your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, starts to drift. These changes are normal, but they can leave you feeling tired, foggy, and frustrated. And when you don't know how to work with your body's new rhythms, getting a good night's sleep can feel almost impossible. But here's the good news: you can change that. You don't need to rely on sleeping pills that leave you feeling groggy and drained the next day. You don't need complicated routines or expensive supplements. What you do need is a better understanding of what's happening inside your body, and simple, natural strategies to help restore your sleep from the inside out. In today's video, we're going to reveal the 4 biggest mistakes people over 50 make when it comes to sleep. These are the exact mistakes we've seen again and again in our community, and even made ourselves along the way. But once you understand why they're happening, and how to fix them, you'll discover that deep, healing sleep is still very much within reach. This isn't just another list of generic sleep tips like, drink chamomile tea, or put down your phone. We're diving deeper into the science of how aging affects your sleep, and into the practical, natural solutions you can start using tonight. We'll talk about magnesium, and why the wrong dose can actually make your sleep worse. We'll explain the real story behind melatonin, why most people are taking way too much of it without even knowing. And we'll take a close look at how small daily choices, like when you have your last cup of coffee, or how you wind down in the evening, might be quietly sabotaging your nights. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a personalized roadmap for better sleep, one that's rooted in nature, backed by science, and proven by the experiences of thousands of people just like you. Because here at Natural Healing Hub, we believe that good sleep isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, and it's your birthright, no matter your age. So if you've ever felt like your nights are slipping away, or that sleep is something you have to fight for, stay with us. We're about to show you how to take back control, restore your energy, and wake up feeling refreshed, vibrant, and ready for the day ahead. Let's get started. 1. The magnesium mistake: when more isn't better. Now, let's take a deeper dive into one of the most misunderstood minerals when it comes to sleep: magnesium. If you've spent any time researching natural remedies for insomnia or restless nights, chances are you've already come across magnesium as a potential solution. It's often praised as a miracle mineral for promoting relaxation, calming the nervous system, and helping you ease into a restful slumber. And honestly, I understand why it gets so much attention. Magnesium is essential, there's no denying that. It's involved in over 300 different biochemical reactions in the human body. Everything from regulating muscle and nerve function, controlling blood sugar levels, supporting bone health, to, of course, helping you relax at night and drift off to sleep. And yes, magnesium does play a critical role in regulating neurotransmitters like GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, which essentially acts as your brain's brake pedal, slowing down mental activity and quieting the mind so you can sleep. According to research from the Mayo Clinic, maintaining healthy magnesium levels helps balance these calming neurotransmitters. That's why it makes sense that people, especially those over 50 who are struggling with sleep, turn to magnesium as their first line of defense. But here's where things get tricky. There's a common belief floating around that if a little magnesium is good, then a lot must be better. And unfortunately, that's a mindset that can lead you straight into trouble. I've seen this firsthand, both in people I've worked with and, to be completely honest, in myself, when I first started learning about magnesium and its benefits for sleep. I made the same mistake. I figured, what's the harm in taking a higher dose if it might help me sleep faster or deeper? So I doubled up, and for a while, it seemed like it was working until it wasn't. What I didn't realize at the time was that the body's relationship with magnesium, particularly as we get older, becomes more complicated than we think. You see, as we age, our bodies don't handle magnesium the same way they did when we were in our 20s or 30s. Bone density begins to decline, especially in women after menopause. But it's not just a women's issue. Men lose bone density too, albeit at a slower rate, and magnesium is stored primarily in our bones. So when bone health deteriorates, our magnesium reserves become less stable, and our bodies may struggle to regulate magnesium levels efficiently. Now, here's the problem. Taking too much magnesium, especially in supplemental form, can lead to gastrointestinal issues. The most common symptom? Diarrhea. And I'm not talking about a mild inconvenience here. For older adults, severe diarrhea can lead to dehydration surprisingly fast. The Cleveland Clinic points out that dehydration in people over 50 isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Dehydration can cause your heart rate to spike, raise your blood pressure, disrupt your body's electrolyte balance, and even contribute to confusion or dizziness, none of which are things we want, especially when we're already trying to improve sleep and overall health. So how much magnesium is too much? According to Harvard Health and WebMD, the recommended daily allowance, what your body needs to stay balanced, depends on your age and gender. For women over 50, it's about 320 milligrams per day. For men, it's closer to 420 milligrams per day. But here's the key. These numbers aren't just about supplements. They also include magnesium from the foods you eat, like dark leafy greens, almonds, pumpkin seeds, and whole grains. Many people forget this and only look at their supplement bottle, thinking they're not getting enough when, in fact, they're already exceeding their needs. That's why I always suggest starting with food first. Nature provides magnesium in its most bioavailable and gentle form through whole foods. But if you do choose to supplement, be smart about it. Personally, I found magnesium glycinate to be the best choice, especially for those dealing with sleep issues. It's gentle on the stomach, highly absorbable, and much less likely to cause loose stools compared to other forms like magnesium citrate or magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide, in particular, is one I recommend avoiding for sleep purposes. It's poorly absorbed by the body and often acts as a laxative, fine if you're constipated, but not exactly what you want when your goal is deep, uninterrupted sleep. And here's another thing I see all the time. People unknowingly doubling up on magnesium because they don't realize it's hiding in other supplements. Many multivitamins, sleep aids, and even some calcium supplements include added magnesium. That's why reading labels is crucial. You might think you're taking 200 milligrams from your dedicated magnesium supplement. But when you add everything up, you could easily be consuming 600 or 700 milligrams in total. And that's before factoring in your diet. Living in a hot, humid climate, like here in Arizona, or maintaining an active lifestyle where you're sweating frequently can increase your magnesium needs slightly. But even then, it's important to increase your intake gradually. I like to say, start low and go slow. That approach gives your body time to adjust and helps you avoid those unpleasant side effects that can come from overdoing it. One trick I often recommend is keeping a simple magnesium journal. Track how much magnesium you're getting each day from both food and supplements. And note how you're feeling, your sleep quality, energy levels, and any digestive symptoms. Over time, you'll start to see patterns emerge and get a clearer picture of your personal sweet spot. And once you find it, you'll be amazed at how much better you sleep, and how much more refreshed you feel in the morning. At Natural Healing Hub, we're all about working with your body, not against it. And when it comes to magnesium, it's not about taking more. It's about taking enough, the right amount, in the right form, at the right time, to support your body's natural rhythms. Coming up, we'll dive into another common mistake that could be sabotaging your sleep without you even realizing it. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to uncover on your path to better rest. 2. Melatonin misuse. Less is more. Let's talk about melatonin, one of the most misunderstood sleep supplements out there. If you're over 50 and struggling with sleep, chances are someone has recommended melatonin to you. Maybe you've even tried it yourself, hoping it would be the magic solution to your restless nights. And at first glance, it makes sense. After all, melatonin is a hormone that your body naturally produces to regulate your sleep-wake cycle. As the sun goes down, melatonin levels rise, signaling to your body that it's time to wind down. But here's the catch: your melatonin production naturally declines with age. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that by the time you hit 50, your melatonin levels may have dropped by as much as 50%. By the time you reach 60, the decline can be even more dramatic. So it's no surprise that so many older adults turn to melatonin supplements, thinking they can simply top up their levels and fix their sleep issues. But here's where the problem starts. More melatonin does not mean better sleep. In fact, taking too much melatonin can have the opposite effect, throwing off your body's natural rhythm and making sleep problems even worse. And unfortunately, most people don't realize they're overdosing. Just walk into any pharmacy or browse online, and you'll see over-the-counter melatonin supplements in doses of 5 to 10 milligrams, sometimes even higher. But according to Harvard Health, that's 5 to 10 times more than what most adults over 50 actually need. The ideal starting dose? Just 0.3 to 1 milligram. Yet, because melatonin is marketed as natural, people assume it's harmless and take far more than their body actually requires. And the consequences of this melatonin overdose? Not good. Instead of helping you fall asleep faster and wake up refreshed, too much melatonin can actually disrupt your sleep cycle. It can make you feel groggy and disoriented the next morning, almost like a melatonin hangover. It can also cause dizziness, headaches, and even nausea. And if you've ever taken melatonin and felt wide awake a few hours later instead of sleepy, that's because high doses can actually interfere with your circadian rhythm rather than support it. But here's something even more concerning: melatonin interacts with medications. If you're taking blood pressure medications, antidepressants, or even blood thinners, melatonin can interfere with how these drugs work in your body. According to WebMD, combining melatonin with certain medications can lead to dangerous side effects, including increased drowsiness, dizziness, and changes in blood pressure. And yet, this is something most people never hear about when they pick up a bottle of melatonin at their local store. So what's the right way to use melatonin, if at all? Through years of research and personal experience, I found a simple, evidence-based protocol that works best for older adults. 1. Start low, just 0.5 milligrams. Taken about 90 minutes before bedtime. This mimics the body's natural melatonin release and gives your brain time to respond gradually. 2. If needed, adjust slowly, never big jumps. If 0.5 milligrams isn't enough, increase in small increments, like 0.25 milligrams at a time. More is not better. 3. Look for plant-based melatonin sources. Many synthetic melatonin supplements contain additives and fillers that can affect absorption. One natural option I personally like is Herbatonin, a plant-based melatonin alternative, and no, I'm not affiliated with them. I just believe in quality products. Now, I need to issue an important warning. If you're taking antidepressants like Prozac, Zoloft, or Lexapro, you need to be extra careful. Combining melatonin with these medications, or with supplements like 5-HTP, can increase your risk of serotonin syndrome. This is a potentially life-threatening condition where excess serotonin builds up in your system, leading to symptoms like agitation, confusion, rapid heart rate, high blood pressure, muscle rigidity, and even seizures. This isn't something to take lightly. And it's a big reason why you should always check with your healthcare provider before combining melatonin with any other medications or supplements. At Natural Healing Hub, we're all about working with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. Melatonin can be a useful tool, but only if it's used the right way. If you're struggling with sleep after 50, the goal isn't to drown your body in excess melatonin. The real goal is to support your circadian rhythm naturally, through light exposure, proper sleep hygiene, stress management, and, when necessary, just the right amount of melatonin, not an overdose. Now, melatonin isn't the only mistake people make when trying to fix their sleep. There's another common habit that could be ruining your sleep without you even realizing it. So stick with me, because next, we're going to uncover another hidden sleep saboteur that might be keeping you up at night. 3. Early bedtimes. The hidden circadian trap. Let's talk about something that catches a lot of people off guard, especially those of us over 50 who are trying to build healthier routines and improve our sleep. It's the habit of going to bed too early. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, right? After all, we've been told for years that going to bed earlier is the key to getting a good night's sleep. So, it's easy to think, well, I'm retired now, there's no need to stay up late. Why not wind down after dinner and just head to bed at 8? It seems like the peaceful, healthy choice, but here's the surprising truth. Consistently going to bed too early can actually throw your sleep and your health completely out of balance. I see this pattern all the time when I work with clients, especially those who've transitioned into retirement. They eat dinner at 5 p.m., maybe watch a little TV or read, and then they're under the covers by 8 p.m. At first, it feels like they're doing the right thing, but then they find themselves waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, wondering why they can't sleep through the night. Some people even think, well, I guess this is just what getting older looks like. But that's not necessarily true. What's really happening here has to do with something called your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Think of it like your body's natural timekeeper. According to Harvard Medical School, when your circadian rhythm is disrupted, it can lead to insomnia, early morning awakening, and even mood disturbances like depression or anxiety. And the thing is, your circadian rhythm doesn't run on your retirement schedule. It still responds to cues like daylight, activity levels, and melatonin release. When you go to bed too early, before your body's natural drive for sleep has fully built up, you end up fragmenting your sleep. Imagine your body as a battery that charges during the day, and sleep is the discharge. If you try to discharge before the battery is full, you won't get the deep, restorative sleep you need. Instead, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, long before morning, and often find it difficult, if not impossible, to get back to sleep. There's science behind this, and it comes down to what researchers call sleep pressure. Throughout the day, a chemical in your brain called adenosine builds up, creating sleep pressure, the feeling of being tired enough to sleep deeply. If you go to bed too early, that adenosine hasn't had enough time to accumulate, so your sleep pressure is weak. You might fall asleep out of habit or boredom, but your body isn't fully ready for deep, uninterrupted sleep. This often results in early morning awakenings. And let me tell you, there's nothing more frustrating than waking up at 3 a.m. feeling wide awake but exhausted. So, what can you do about it? The key is to align your bedtime with your natural circadian rhythm and your personal sleep drive. A method I've seen work well for many of my clients starts with identifying your ideal wake time. Let's say you want to wake up at 6 a.m. That's reasonable for most people. Count backwards 7 to 8 hours from that wake-up time. That gives you a bedtime between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. Yes, it might be later than you're used to, but it gives your body enough time to build up proper sleep pressure so that when you do go to sleep, it's deeper and more restorative. But I get it. It's not always easy to stay awake until 10 p.m., especially if you're winding down your day earlier. That's why staying active in the evening is so important. I'm not saying you need to go out dancing or hit the gym, although if you feel up to it, why not? But engaging in light, stimulating activities can make a huge difference. For example, try gentle stretching, journaling, working on a puzzle, or even having meaningful conversations with friends or family. These activities keep your mind engaged and prevent that sense of boredom that often tempts people to crawl into bed too early. One of my favorite strategies is what I call the connection ritual. I encourage people to create a small circle of friends, a telephone tree, if you will, who commit to checking in with each other in the evenings. Maybe it's a quick phone call, a video chat, or even a group text. The goal is to create a sense of community and keep your brain socially engaged later in the day. This doesn't just support a healthy circadian rhythm, it's also been shown to reduce loneliness and improve mood, both of which are common concerns for older adults and can negatively impact sleep. In fact, a study from the National Institute on Aging highlights that maintaining social connections plays a major role in promoting better sleep and cognitive health as we age. Personally, I've found that on the days when I stay socially and mentally active in the evenings, I sleep better. On the flip side, when I fall into the trap of winding down too soon and losing that sense of engagement, my sleep tends to be lighter and more disrupted. Now, I'm not saying you need to force yourself to stay up until midnight or run on too little sleep. It's all about finding the right balance for your body. But if you've been hitting the sack at 8 p.m. and waking up at 3 a.m., it's a strong sign your circadian rhythm needs a reset. Gradually shifting your bedtime later, in 15 to 30-minute increments, can help recalibrate your internal clock and restore a more natural, restful sleep pattern. And don't forget, exposure to natural light during the day, especially in the morning, can help reinforce your circadian rhythm, making it easier to stay awake longer in the evening and fall asleep more easily at your ideal bedtime. The bottom line? Going to bed too early might feel like you're doing something good for your body, but it can actually sabotage your sleep. Be intentional about your bedtime, stay active and engaged in the evening, and give your body the time it needs to build up healthy sleep pressure. Your circadian rhythm will thank you, and so will your energy levels the next day. 4. Caffeine consumption, the slow metabolism trap. Let's talk about something a lot of us overlook when it comes to better sleep after 50, caffeine. You probably already know that caffeine can keep you awake if you have it too late in the day. But here's what many people don't realize. The way your body handles caffeine changes dramatically as you age. And if you're like I was a few years ago, you might be unknowingly sabotaging your sleep simply because your caffeine habits haven't evolved along with your body. When I was younger, I could sip an espresso at 4 p.m. and still be sound asleep by 10. No problem, but by the time I hit 55, something shifted. I started noticing that on the days when I had that afternoon coffee, I was wide awake until midnight, tossing and turning. At first, I didn't make the connection. I thought, well, maybe I'm just stressed, or maybe I didn't get enough exercise today. But after tracking my habits for a couple of weeks, I realized caffeine was the common denominator. And the research backs this up. According to the Mayo Clinic, caffeine's half-life, the time it takes for half of the caffeine you consume to leave your system, can extend to 6 to 8 hours in older adults. But it doesn't stop there. Research from the Cleveland Clinic shows that people over 65 metabolize caffeine up to 33% slower than younger folks. What that means is simple. The same cup of coffee you used to enjoy in the afternoon can linger in your system well into the night. Even if you don't feel wired right away, caffeine is sneaky like that. And it's not just about falling asleep, it's about sleep quality too. Studies have shown that caffeine consumed late in the day can reduce deep sleep, the stage where your body does most of its healing and restoration. That's especially problematic as we age because deep sleep naturally declines, and we need to protect what we've got. Now, I'm not saying you need to give up your beloved cup of coffee. I'm a coffee lover myself, and I believe it can absolutely be part of a healthy routine. But timing is everything. For many people over 50, the simple act of moving caffeine earlier in the day can be a game changer for sleep. And if you're sensitive like me, even that morning cup might need to be dialed back a little. So, how do you go about making this shift without feeling like you're giving up something you enjoy? That's where the caffeine fading technique comes in. It's a method I developed after trial and error in my own life. And I've recommended it to many clients with great results. In week 1, start by switching your last cup of coffee to a half CAF version. It gives you the ritual and flavor you love, but with half the caffeine. You're easing your body into the transition without shocking your system. Then, in week 2, make that last cup of the day fully decaf. If you're like me, you'll be surprised at how much of your coffee habit is about the comfort, the warmth, and the routine, far more than the caffeine itself. After week 2, start gradually moving your last cup of any caffeinated beverage earlier in the day. The ideal cutoff time? I recommend no caffeine after 12 p.m., especially if you're struggling with sleep issues. Some people can stretch it to 2 p.m., but noon is a safer bet if you want to protect your sleep quality. And if you're thinking, but I love having a warm drink in the evening, I get it. That was me too. For a while, I felt like I was missing something during my evening wind down. That's when I discovered herbal teas. Not only are they caffeine-free, but many of them actually support better sleep. Chamomile, for example, has been used for centuries as a natural relaxant. Modern research, like a review published on Healthline, confirms its mild sedative effects. Then there's lemon balm, which can ease anxiety and promote calmness. And valerian root, known for its ability to improve sleep quality by increasing levels of GABA in the brain. Personally, I've become a huge fan of rooibos tea. It has this rich, earthy flavor that's really satisfying. And best of all, it's completely caffeine-free. It's now my go-to evening ritual, brewing a warm cup of rooibos, sitting quietly with a book, or doing some light journaling. That simple switch from afternoon espresso to rooibos tea in the evening made a huge difference for me. I fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, and I feel more refreshed in the morning, no more dragging through the day, relying on caffeine to pick me up. I also remind people to watch for hidden sources of caffeine. It's not just coffee. Caffeine can sneak into your system through tea, chocolate, soft drinks, and even certain medications like pain relievers and weight loss pills. One client of mine was unknowingly consuming caffeine late into the evening because she loved dark chocolate after dinner. Once she cut back, her sleep improved dramatically. So be mindful of what you're consuming after lunch. There's one more important thing to consider. As we age, our cortisol rhythms can shift, and caffeine can exacerbate this. Normally, cortisol, our alertness hormone, is higher in the morning and tapers off by evening. Caffeine stimulates more cortisol production, which is great in the morning when you want to be alert, but problematic in the afternoon when your body should be winding down. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that consuming caffeine within 6 hours of bedtime significantly disrupted sleep patterns, even when participants didn't feel it consciously. The bottom line? Caffeine is not your enemy, but it can become a silent sleep saboteur if you're not careful, especially as your metabolism slows with age. The good news is, with a little awareness and some gradual changes, you can enjoy your favorite beverages without compromising your sleep. Trust me on this. Making peace with caffeine was one of the smartest things I've done for my health after 50. And once you experience deeper, more restful sleep, you won't even miss that late afternoon cup. Conclusion: we've covered some of the biggest mistakes that sabotage sleep after 50 and, more importantly, how you can fix them in simple, natural ways. If you've been struggling with restless nights, waking up feeling groggy, or just not getting the deep, restorative sleep you once enjoyed, I hope by now you're realizing it's not just something you have to live with. There's a reason for it. And the good news? There's also a solution. Let's quickly recap what we've talked about, because this is where change begins, by taking small, consistent actions. First, we looked at the importance of magnesium. And not just any magnesium, choosing the right form like magnesium glycinate, which is gentle on the stomach and highly absorbable. Remember, it's not about popping a high-dose supplement and hoping for the best. It's about starting slow, listening to your body, and giving it the support it needs to relax and unwind naturally. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with who found their sleep transformed by simply correcting a magnesium deficiency they didn't even know they had. Then, we moved on to melatonin. I know it's tempting to reach for those high-dose supplements you see on store shelves, 5, even 10 milligrams, but more isn't better. In fact, it can often backfire, leaving you groggy, disoriented, and wide awake at 3 a.m. instead. Aim for that sweet spot. Start with 0.3 to 1 milligram about 90 minutes before bed, and give your body the chance to reset its natural rhythm. And, as I mentioned earlier, if you're taking any medications, particularly antidepressants, make sure to talk to your healthcare provider first. The risk of serotonin syndrome is real, and it's always better to play it safe. Next, we talked about the hidden trap of going to bed too early. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you're hitting the pillow at 8 p.m. and waking up at 3 a.m., you're not alone. It's something I see often, especially in retirees. The key is to stay active in the evenings, whether it's a light walk, reading, or even connecting with friends over the phone. Keep your mind engaged, and aim to go to bed when your sleep drive is truly ready. As I like to say, sleep isn't something you can force, it's something you allow. And, of course, we can't forget about caffeine. If there's one simple change you can make that can have a profound impact, it's cutting back on caffeine after noon. As we get older, our metabolism slows, and that cup of coffee at 3 p.m. can linger in your system well into the night. I shared my own experience with giving up afternoon espresso in favor of rooibos tea, and I can't recommend it enough. There are so many wonderful herbal teas out there that not only relax your body, but also support your nervous system in winding down for the night. Now, I want to offer one more piece of advice before we wrap up today. If you've made these changes and you're still struggling, if you snore loudly, wake up gasping for air, or feel exhausted during the day despite what should have been a full night's sleep, you may be dealing with sleep apnea. and this is more common than people think, especially after 50. The Cleveland Clinic now recommends simple, at-home sleep apnea tests for initial screenings, which are far less intimidating than spending a night in a sleep lab. I always say, there's no shame in getting answers. In fact, it could be the best decision you make for your long-term health and vitality. So, here's your simple action plan moving forward. Start by making one small change today. Whether it's switching to a different form of magnesium, cutting back on caffeine, adjusting your bedtime, or simply reaching out to your doctor about melatonin, every little step adds up. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, slow, steady progress is often the most sustainable. And, if you found this information helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know you're getting value from these insights, and it helps more people like you discover Natural Healing Hub. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll know as soon as we release new videos. We're all about bringing you practical, science-backed solutions that respect your body's natural wisdom, because better sleep and better health is something everyone deserves. No matter your age, I also want to invite you to join the conversation. Have you tried any of these strategies? What's worked for you? Or maybe you have a question about something we covered today. Drop it in the comments below. I personally read every single one because your journey matters. And sometimes, sharing your experience can help someone else who's on the same path. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I know you have a lot of options when it comes to health information, and I'm truly grateful you chose to be here. My mission at Natural Healing Hub is to empower you with the tools and knowledge to take charge of your health naturally, with confidence and clarity. Until next time, wishing you restful nights, energetic mornings, and a life filled with vitality. Take care, you deserve it.